Ricardo Baretzky, the president of the European Centre for Information Policy and Security, joins us now to talk about this. Ricardo, thanks for joining us here on RT. Firstly, how likely do you think a threat could be serious, one of this, given the authorities have now set a no-fly zone, or is this just a simple precaution?
Well, you know, threats of this nature, like we just are witnessing at present, are, they're bound to happen when security forces is not adequate to deal with this type of issues. The real issue that we have to look at here is that we are seriously looking at a potential civil meltdown within the European Union if they don't begin to pay attention to these present conditions. Because unlike Israel, which had similar problems, the European Union is differently structured. And they didn't get to understand this, and this is very serious danger in our opinion.
I mean, we don't have that many details, obviously, at the moment. We just know that the man's on the roof, he's threatened to blow himself up. But in your opinion, what could be the reasons for targeting an asylum centre on a tiny Danish island, for example?
Well, you know, I hate to speculate, but we have to look at the holistic, as a complete issue. And that is the issue of terror in Europe as a whole, with all the little bits and pieces that we are witnessing over the last year. If we plot it all on a single paper, you would realize that these events that we are noticing is perfectly in line with the same events that happened pretty much in Israel and in Africa. And they are not random. They seem to be random, and we maintain that they're not random. And there's a lot at stake here. And what they have to begin to pay attention is that they have to begin to find the solutions, because they're dealing with 28 nation states instead of one nation state.
And we are speculating, Ricardo. You know, as far as we know, some of them are random, some of them are not. However, you know, during our speculation, how likely is it, do you think, for someone to get access to explosives while being at a refugee centre, or even just walking in? How secure do you think these centres are?
The likelihood of something like this happening is very big. You have to remember, we're dealing with a few factors involved. The first factor is that security services, particularly those at centers like these, they're not really the same level scrutiny as at airport, for example, right? So the fundamental base of security checks is not nearby what they should be at these centers. And the second point is that there's always a risk when there's a free flow of people, where there's a center or where there's a public space, that these events will happen. We must look back in a little bit of history, not long to go, when we realized that within the Middle East, and particularly in Israel, the suicide bombing is a big part of the terror network. So I will not be surprised if there's a relation anywhere in here.
Again, we have very few details on this story. I mean, he says he's going to blow himself up. No one has confirmed or denied whether he has explosives on him to be able to do that. But if the situation gets worse, and again, we're speculating here, and he does blow himself up on the roof, with those already inside, it has been evacuated, or they're in that process. What kind of a message do you think this individual is trying to give to the international community?
I think that's very important to understand we're dealing with the human factor. And there's issues about refugees, and there's issues about people who tries to enforce their will onto the government. And there's a very serious a view that we have to adopt to look at it from an objective point of view. And the question here is he acting on his own, or is he acting as a lonely wolf, or with a network, or is this a standalone completely? My guess is that this message is a message of in a way to tell the world we are serious about what we mean and pay attention. And this is not a good sign at all, because any real refugee would not attempt this kind of event.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think objectivity is absolutely crucial in a situation like this. We've just had some news in that the police have arrested the man, so we will be giving more details. So hopefully he's not going to be able to do what he intended to do, if indeed he intended to do that at all. Ricardo Baretzky, thank you for joining us here on RT.
Thank you.